Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. I'll leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Now listen, Gervonta Davis is scared to lose. That's what some people are saying. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's nothing wrong with being afraid to lose. I haven't heard any fighter say that before they get in the ring, they're not afraid, or they feel some sort of fear, some sort of uneasiness. But once they get in the ring, a lot of them say that fear is it kind of resolves itself. Now, the thing about Gervonta Davis and his psychology, when it comes to him being worried about losing, you know what? That could have played a role in the way he performed against Lamont Roach. But at the same time, Lamont Roach had a lot to do with the way Gervonta Davis performed. Because Roach was familiar with Gervonta. He knew his tricks. Gervonta knew his tricks. But Roach had an answer for everything Gervonta Davis was going to try to do. And it showed on that night. So much so that there's even a video where, most of us didn't see it. But Lamont Roach came out and pointed out there was a point in the fight where Gervonta Davis bit him. Okay? And that's absolutely crazy. But the biting derived from Gervonta more than likely losing confidence, getting desperate, and looking to just try to find a way to regain the upper hand in the fight, which Lamont Roach never really allowed him to have. So that being said, Gervonta and Lamont Roach are supposed to be rematching in June. That's a good thing because it gives Gervonta an opportunity to redeem himself. Can he do it? I don't know. Majority of the people I see who are talking about Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach to rematch are willing to put money on Roach clipping Gervonta Davis. And some are even saying what they've heard me say, where they feel Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis is going to be like Chris Colbert and Valenzuela, which is something I mentioned during one of the lives. So when I heard somebody else say it, I said, okay, maybe great minds think alike. But and some people were disagreeing with him. Oh man, Roach isn't going to knock out Gervonta. But I knew what I meant when I said it, and I knew what that person meant when he said it. They're just saying that Lamont Roach is going to show that he's the superior fighter and that he has an answer and that the first fight wasn't a mistake. Does it mean he knocks Gervonta Davis out? No. But does it mean he wins? Probably. But the same question is, can Gervonta Davis fight any worse? Can Lamont Roach fight any better? The thing is, I don't think Lamont Roach can fight any better than what he showed when he and Gervonta got in the ring. And I'll be honest with you, Gervonta can't fight any worse. I think Gervonta Davis can fight a lot better. And I think that could be make for a huge difference in the fight. But at the end of the day, Gervonta Davis is going to have to unpack his confidence. Because in my opinion, I don't know what happened with Gervonta, Calvin Ford, Barry Hunter, Gervonta's personal life, friends, family, with training. I don't know. Something happened that hindered the impact of his training habits. And the reason I say that is because normally Gervonta Davis has a lot of levels to his game, a lot of layers. He's making adjustments. Even when the fighter is having success, Gervonta is able to figure things out, to create distance between himself and the opponent, and go on to get the victory. However it may come, which majority of the times comes by knockout. And he didn't do that. And I think that there should be a deep dive on that topic about fighters and their psychology, and in particular Gervonta Davis, openly admitting being afraid to lose. Now, I'm going to tell you something, right? Gervonta Davis has spent countless hours in the gyms. He's watched fighters grow. He's watched fighters evolve. He's even noticed with himself growth and evolution and a recurring pattern when he gets in the ring. That if he touches somebody, good things happen for him, bad things happen for the opponent. But I will say this. Gervonta Davis has also seen a lot of talented fighters that he was very close with seem to end up holding back after they have a bad experience in that ring. And he's seen where fans don't hold back on fighters who have a bad experience in the ring. Case in point, Adrian Broner. He and Tank Davis, very close. He saw what happened with Adrian Broner. When Adrian Broner was on top of the world, making money hand over fist, bubbling up to 4 weight divisions, he was the man. Adrian Broner couldn't go anywhere. He had guys on him, women on him, getting paid big money for guest appearances. Adrian Broner was it. Man got into it with Maidana. Shit went left quick, didn't it? He was a meme. People were clowning him, disrespecting him. No one took him serious. And you see what happened with Adrian Broner is a bit of a downward spiral. You saw with him in training camp, in sparring, and in his fights, subsequent fights, afraid to let his hands go. Because Adrian Broner has now become afraid of getting knocked out. Earl Spence, you saw what happened with him and Terrence Crawford. Crawford tranquilized him. Earl Spence became a meme. A lot of people who were supporting Earl Spence and an Earl Spence fan, they even turned their back on him and started saying horrible things about him. As a result, Earl Spence has never returned to the boxing ring. Now, Earl Spence's situation is a little bit different. But and I think you guys know what I'm alluding to without me diving into it. But the bottom line is, some of that confidence left the building with Earl Spence the same way he did with Adrian Broner. So when you look at a guy like Gervonta who sees these two guys who he looked up to and he was close with, and see them lose and how everything, you can lose everything overnight. He doesn't want that. The problem is his biggest fear stared him in the face. And he's very lucky to get a draw. And his biggest fear is coming back to confront him again when they have that rematch in June. And I wonder, is Gervonta Davis going to have the confidence? Now, Paulie Malignaggi, I got his picture on the thumbnail because he said the rumors in the gym is that Gervonta Davis has some bitch in him. And what he's saying is that if he's not having his way, or he stops having his way, and the opponent starts coming on, Gervonta Davis has some quitting him. He'll foul or he'll step out the ring and he'll do whatever he needs to do to make sure he doesn't get hurt, he doesn't get embarrassed anymore. And I'll be honest with you, I don't always agree with things Paulie Malignaggi says, but I do believe there may be some truth to some of the little pocket conversations about, hey, Gervonta Davis is a bad boy. He can fight. But if he can't hurt you and get you out of there, then he tends to lose his confidence. Little by little, after round, the confidence starts to go, and he starts to get concerned about, shit, I may lose this fight. But, so my thing is, okay, everybody's not talking about Gervonta Davis. I still think Gervonta Davis is a killer, all right? But again, fear is not bad. If you don't have fear, something's wrong with you, okay? But how does he unpack his confidence? How does he decide to kind of turn a blind eye to what happened to Broner, what happened to Earl Spence? Look at what he went through with Lamont Roach and say, you know what? Forget all that. I know what loose ends I need to tighten to come back stronger and basically shut up all the naysayers. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm puzzled by the idea of Gervonta being scared, but he did say He doesn't want to be embarrassed. He doesn't want to lose. But at the same time, the last couple of weeks I've been intrigued with the conversation, and also seeing that like he bit the man in the ring. So that tells me that there definitely is a lack of confidence on Gervonta Davis's part, and he will do whatever he has to try to get the upper hand back or get some kind of confidence. He just wasn't able to do it with Lamont Roach. Now, I'll say this. If Gervonta can't get his confidence back in training camp, because now the hard sparring he's been doing, sparring guys who are much heavier than him, taking a lot of damage, okay? If he's not going to continue with that, I'm concerned with him going, I'm just going to say it, an easier route. Some will say, well, no, it's just training smarter, not harder. I'm going to say an easier route. That could equate to some laziness. Because if you're pushing yourself 100%, that means your work ethic is deserves to be recognized and to be applauded, and that means that you're ready to go. But if you're deciding to not put forth the same effort you were putting in before to work what some would say a smarter way, I would say an easier way, I would have said there's a little bit of laziness there. If you're going to go a route to where you don't have to have the difficult sparring because you're worried about getting knocked out, if you don't want to have such hard, arduous training and working to where your whole body is shaking in total exhaustion, there could be some laziness that starts to creep in. And like they say, you fight the way you train. And if in fact it's true that Gervonta Davis is going to look to make some changes in his camp and how he trains and not train as hard but try to find a smarter way, what I'm going to say is an easier route, that may not work to his benefit. Or it may. We won't know until we see him get in the ring. But again, the fact that we're even having these talks about Gervonta Davis, I think because it goes a lot deeper than him just trying to preserve himself. I think it really has a lot to do with the lack of self-confidence and the fact now that it was on full display that, there's a bit of a disconnect within Gervonta Davis where he's fighting with himself on really wanting to take the risk that he needs to really be great, because he does not want to risk losing a fight, especially getting knocked out, And let's just be real, man. Gervonta Davis undoubtedly is one of the best fighters today. In the boxing gym, inside the actual ring for professional fights. He's that guy. But man, you got to wonder, since he's been saying he's ready to retire, if the commitment's still there. Got to have your commitment level has to be there. And if for some reason the commitment level isn't what it needs to be in order for him to continue being, the number 2 guy right behind Canelo, he's going to have some real problems in that rematch with Lamont Roach. You got to have a full commitment to your training routine, to your diet, to making sure you're mentally healthy, and definitely a full commitment to whatever fight you accept to show up 100% on fight night. And if not, you could find yourself being defeated by sparring partners. And then when you get in the ring on fight night, being defeated by your opponent. But again, some people say there's no need for him to train hard. He's an athlete with a lot of promise, and there's some things he can get away with. But when I hear that, it just makes me think about front runners, guys who relied a lot on the talent, guys who didn't have the confidence that they needed because after the first 4 or 5 rounds, things aren't going their way, they start to unfold. And it makes me think of Zab Judah. Zab Judah didn't train as hard as he should have. Zab Judah had a lot of bad habits. He even admitted to that. he would get Zab Judah in a lot of his fights. I'm not going to say all, but from what he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he was getting in the ring, just whooping people's ass, just off of natural, God-gifted abilities. Could you imagine if a guy like Zab Judah really gave 100% to every training camp? Zab Judah would have retired undefeated. But even he'll come out and say, hey man, I was out partying, being young and wild and crazy, and then knowing I had to go fight. And he just had this, he just had natural talent and was able to go in there and handle business. But eventually it caught up with him. I don't think Gervonta Davis is like that. But I do think the similarity there is Gervonta, 4 or 5 rounds, if he can't get you out of there, and then once he makes another push around round 7 or 8, if he still can't get you out of there, and you're coming on strong, I do think Gervonta Davis, based on that, when he fought Pitbull and when he fought Lamont Roach, I do believe that Gervonta Davis tends to lose a bit of confidence and starts to get worried about the fight. If you notice, he talks a lot about Pitbull too. Like the fact that fans felt he lost that fight, like Gervonta is bothered by that. Like he really is bothered by that. And you can see now that he's definitely bothered by what fans are saying about him and Lamont Roach. So I think it's just him having a fear of failure and just kind of battling with his mindset. You know what I'm saying? I think we all have a fear of failure. But no matter what, for me, I know I'm always fully committed to things. But have I not fully committed to something because of fear of failure? I'll be honest with you. You know what? I'll be honest. That's a good talking point, right? Fear of failure, and as a result, not fully committing. I was put in a position to lead, right? To lead this initiative. I knew nothing about it. And they wanted me to be the subject matter expert. And the thing is, we had subject matter experts, not in our building, not in our section, but they were in the building. And who could talk about flying our programs. And there was another group of experts who could talk about this software to help improve the tracking of aircraft flying hours, right? It was a database. They wanted me to be the subject matter expert and go and brief and be the focal point, right? For all these people when we had subject matter experts. So did I have the confidence to go and speak about the Flying Hour program and about this database? No. Was I fully committed? No, I was trying to find ways to get out of that shit. Because I was like, hell no, there's no way in the world I can win. You know, these people are watching me. You know what I'm saying? And I know for a fact that I can't possibly come out here and articulate this because they were asked very pointed questions. I no matter how much I read, right, I couldn't be the expert on a database when people ask me questions on how to use it. I never used it. So it ended up to where I didn't fully commit because no matter how hard I tried, I just could not be as great as they wanted me to be. And I knew that. So when I watched Gervonta Davis, him not fully commit, and plus I feared failing. So I'd rather just kept things as simple as possible and just let everybody know up front, look, hey man, I don't know anything about this, but I'll do my best. It's like everything I said, I kind of prefaced everything with that bullshit. And almost hoping people would feel sorry for me, saying, oh yeah, well, hey, he's the guy, they put this on him, but he's really not the expert. Like, I made sure to throw it out there. And I know that's an absolute no-no when it comes to being a leader and being in a leadership capacity and being in front of a crowd and you're up there just talking and see you as a subject matter expert. You don't want to come and say, hey, I'm going to do my best, but I'll just let you guys know. I don't know much about this, but, let's try to get through it together. Some people respect that, but the majority, when they see you in the position you're in, they're not going to respect that shit. So I wasn't fully committed because I was feared failing, because I just would rather have turned invisible, because there's no one in the world I could have fucking had the answers. You know what I mean? Textbook answers don't always solve real life problems. It gives you a guide. But when people start talking about real world problems and real world issues, when that stuff I was dealing with, I couldn't answer it because I didn't live it. For Gervonta Davis, I'm not so sure he'll be fully committed because he's a fear of failure. And he'd almost rather bite Lamont Roach or twist his ankle or say he had grease getting to his eyes. You see the excuses that came? Oh, there were some things that happened. I know what they are, some things I got to work on. I got to work on me. You see, the fear of failure, as a result, he didn't fully commit in that fight the way he should have. He more or less kind of went the route I went, which was I prefaced all of my briefings like, hey, look, I really don't know much about this, but I'm going to do my best. He got through the end of the fight, and then he let everybody know. Same thing I did. I did on the front end, he did on the back end. The reason I performed this way was because X, Y, and Z. He started alibying this shit. And that was his fallback. Issues with training camp, grease in the hair. And he did give Lamont Roach some credit, but he did talk a whole lot about things he needs to work on, and the grease in his hair and other shit. Anyway, I just think he's got to figure it out, man. He's gonna have to exert himself because he has that inherent talent, but it's a battle of the mindset. And I can tell you, man, I've been through that, and there were times I had to kind of rise above things and look at myself in the mirror and say, yo, you somebody. And I did start digging in, trying to get familiar with the database, but it just had too much going on, man. Anyway, Gervonta Davis is brilliant. This thing about him having some bitch in him and stuff, I just think that's harsh. But I could understand if they're using that phrase to describe him wanting a way out when things aren't going his way, and I understand what they mean. But I still think that's kind of harsh to say. Anyway, he's got to face the fear. He's got to commit his all. If Gervonta wants to beat Lamont Roach, you just got to face that fear, man. Not everybody can be Floyd Mayweather. Fight champion after champion, hard fight after hard fight, and make him look easy and retire undefeated. Not everybody can do that. Okay? And hopefully Gervonta Davis just says, you know what? F it. I'm going to commit. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to face the fear. If I win, it's going to be an even more rewarding feeling. If I lose, it's okay. At least I didn't try to take the easy way out and foul myself out or find a way to say I lost because of this person or because of that. No, if you lose, it's because the guy was better. But don't go doing nothing stupid and flagrant to get yourself out of a fight. We've seen it happen a lot of times with fighters who are looking for a way out. A good example is Paulie Malignaggi, since we're talking about him and what he said about Gervonta, what he said about Conor McGregor. When Conor McGregor's in fights, and especially in that cage, and things weren't going his way, all of a sudden he gets tired and he just will just almost give his back up and allow himself to be, submitted. So fighters do look for a way out. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans on 7 continents. Gervonta's scared to lose, some say. But you know what? He can overcome that. But he's got a lot to do with figuring out the way ahead. Because coming back in the ring, biting, fouling, taking a knee, running to your corner, grease in my hair. I didn't know what round it was. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? He has an opportunity to redeem himself or to drive himself further down into a deep black hole which no one's going to help him climb out of. They're going to do him the way they did Earl Spence and they did Adrian Broner, which is what Gervonta Davis does not want to be subject to. But trust me, it's coming. It is coming. Anyway, in the breeze.